Good morning. It looks like everyone has had a chance to serve themselves. If you could maybe possibly find your way to your seat this morning. We will go ahead and get started with the welcome. I am Vicki Davis, 2013 Chair of the Board of Directors of the Pine Bluff Regional Chamber of Commerce. It is my honor to welcome you to Business Expo 2013 and our Business Expo Breakfast. Today marks the 26th year that the Chamber has been privileged to coordinate the Business Expo for our community. We are excited to have such an outstanding event for you today. The Chamber Board of Directors and I extend a very special thank you to the 2013 Expo Chairman, Stephen Lassane, and his committee for their outstanding work. I would first like to introduce the head table. To my far right, Reverend Jesse Turner. Stephen Lassane with Simmons First National Bank. Robert Deal, also of Simmons First National. And my far left, Luann Nesbitt, President and CEO of the Economic Development Alliance, of which the Chamber is a division. And George Macris, our guest speaker, who will be introduced later in the program. Reverend Turner, would you come forward for the invocation, please?
Let us pray. To the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, who is all wise, merciful, compassionate, and forgiving, we give thanks this morning to you all, and we give thanks to the all-powerful God, a loving God. Oh God, we ask your blessings upon this business exposition today. Bless every business represented in the arena today. Oh God, let this expo be the greatest of all times. We are thankful for all those who plan, promoted, and will present their business or organizations today. Let these businesses receive a return on their investment today, not only now, but going forward. We speak success upon this event. And God, if there are any problems that may be lurking about to disrupt or cause confusion, we bind them right now. Bless now our speaker this morning and the food that has been prepared and consumed. It is by faith, O great Jehovah, that we ask all of this by faith. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen and amen.
It is now my pleasure to welcome to the podium our MC for the program, who never leaves a dull moment, Mr. Robert Deal, the longtime Executive Vice President of Marketing for Simmons First National Bank. Mr. Deal.
Thank you, Vicki. Thank you. Welcome everybody to the, what is this, 26th, 27th, 26th breakfast. I'm glad to have made most of them. I may have made all of them, just going to remember it. That's my age, that happens, you know. Incidentally, I want to let y'all know something because Tommy Mays told everybody, even though he told me not to say anything about it. And he made announcements about it. Yes, I am retiring at the end of the year. After being at Simmons First for 47 years. I would have said working there, but Tommy would have challenged that little statement about working there. He says, I don't work. He told me, you know, you don't work on Mondays and Fridays. And I said, yeah, and I want to talk to you about Wednesdays. You know, Reverend, it's a nice prayer. Really appreciate you. My good friend Jesse Turner, who tries to do a lot of good things for Pine Bluff. We're glad and proud to have people like him here to serve us. You know, when you got up here saying a prayer, it reminded me about this priest that was driving downtown in New York. He gets stopped in Connecticut, and the state trooper smells alcohol on the priest's breast. And he sees an empty wine bottle on the floor of the car. He says, "Sir, have you been drinking?" "Just water," says the priest. He said, "Well, then why do I smell wine?" And the priest looks at the bottle on the floor. He looks at the state trooper and he said, "Good Lord, he's done it again." You know, Vicky just got married, incidentally, ladies and gentlemen. How about that? So I guess we're lucky you're here this morning. Is that right? We're happy marriage. You know, the other day, you get a little older like me, I'm approaching 70. It'll be 70 May the 23rd, if I can make it to then. And, you know, I guess you do a few strange things as you go along. So I was in Brookshire's the other day buying a large bag of dog food for our dogs. And this woman in the line behind me asked me if I had a dog. And I said, "Oh, duh. You know, what you think, I had an elephant? I mean, I don't." But anyway, I had a little, I didn't have much to do today, so on impulse I told her, "No, I didn't have a dog. I was starting a Purina diet again." I probably shouldn't, because I ended up in the hospital last time, but then I lost 50 pounds before I woke up in intensive care with tubes running in out of every place you could put a tube. And I had 2 IVs out of both arms. But I told her, I said, "You know, it's essentially a perfect diet. And the way that it works is that you load up your pants pocket with Purina dog chow, and every time you feel hungry, you reach in there and get a dog chow." "Oh no, it's nutritionally complete. It's fine. You give it to your dogs. You love your dog, don't you?" "Yeah, you can eat it. I promise you, I've done it before." So anyway, I said I was going to try it again. And as I was talking, I noticed people in our line and on both sides of me had stopped with interest in listening to what I was saying. And she looked at me, and this horrified look on her face. She said, "If I ended up in intensive care, was it because the dog food poisoned me?" And I said, "No, I stopped to pee on a fire hydrant and the car hit me." So, you know, Stephen Lassane, who's in charge of the Business Expo this year, we're real proud of Stephen. He does a good job for us, and I know he's done a good job with this expo, as he always does. But I got to tell you the story about him. Stephen, you know, he settled down a whole lot. When he first got married, he still went out with his buddies to have drinks, and they got in quite late on occasion. And so on one occasion, he staggered home very late after another evening drinking with his buddies. He tiptoed quietly as he could toward the stairs leading to their upstairs bedroom, but he misjudged the step. And as he caught himself by grabbing onto the banister, his body swung around and he landed heavily on his butt. Well, a whiskey bottle was in each back pocket, broke, and made the landing especially painful. So he managed, he didn't want to yell, and he's trying to be real quiet, so he jumped up and pulled down his pants and looked in the hall mirror to see that his butt cheeks were cut and bleeding. So he quietly found a full box of Band-Aids and began putting Band-Aid on all the cuts that he could possibly see in the mirror. Now, when he got through, he hid the box of Band-Aids, and he shuffled and stumbled his way to bed. And next morning, his wife got up, he woke up, and he had this pain in both his head and his butt. And his wife was staring at him across the room. She said, "You were drunk last night, weren't you?" Stephen said, "Well, why would you say such a mean thing to me like that?" She said, "Well, it could be that the front door was open. It could be the broken glass at the bottom of the stairs. It could be drops of blood trailing through the house. It could be your bloodshot eyes. But mostly, It's all those Band-Aids stuck on the mirror. Stephen, go get them, pal.
Thank you, Robert. You know, that reminds me, Robert, when I get back to the office, remind me to call my wife so I can, talk to her about telling all of our secrets.
I'm going to talk to her.
I also want to thank each of you for being here today for the 2013 Business Expo Breakfast. We're very excited about the changes with this year's Expo, and I especially want to thank our exhibitors for making this one of the best expos ever. Walking through the exhibit hall yesterday and again this morning and looking at all of your booths, I'm amazed and very appreciative of the time and effort that you all have put into your exhibits. You, the exhibitors, are what makes Business Expo a success each year. I'm pleased to report this year we have over 15 new exhibitors and close to 100 exhibitors in all. So I think we've done a very successful job this year and excited about the new exhibitors. Each year, the Expo Committee awards ribbons for the most creative booth, the most informative booth, as a way to acknowledge the extra effort that each of you have put into your booth. And this year, we've added one additional award, the Special Judges Award. After checking out all the wonderful booths, the Expo Committee this morning is proud to award the most informative booth ribbon to SEARC. And I'm sorry, I should have said, can we have a member to please come forward and accept the ribbon? And the most creative booth this year? The most creative booth award goes to Scott Systems. And I'm proud to announce that the inaugural Judges Award goes to Fairfield Federal Credit Union. Additionally, 2 drawings are held during Expo each year for a free booth for the following year. The first drawing was held yesterday during the Exhibitors Social, and the second drawing will be held this afternoon at the end of Expo. The winner of the first free booth for next year goes to Deja Vu Consignment Shop. Congratulations. You'll see listed on your programs on your table and Expo schedule our sponsors for each event and the names of the hardworking members of the Expo Committee. We'd like to give special thanks to our sponsors, Simmons First National Bank, Pine Bluff National Bank, Fairfield Federal Credit Union, MK Distributors, Terra Promotional Products, Jefferson Regional Medical Center, Strong Manufacturing, Pine Bluff Convention and Visitors Bureau, Southeast Arkansas College, and Razorback Printing. In the lobby, as y'all noticed coming in this morning, we have 21 tempting automobiles out there, and I'm kind of torn between which one I want to drive home today. We also have some other items on display, so be sure to check, stop by and check those out. I'm sure that any of the dealers that are here today would be more than happy to get some paperwork started for you, so be sure to pick out your new ride home. I also know that there are several bankers here this morning, and they'd be more than happy to process a loan application for you. So bankers, be sure to raise your hand and take care of that business as well. At the back of the arena today, we have the JRMC Health Fair, which is offering several different health screenings and health information. So I would probably advise before you stop by the Simmons First Bank for your hot dog to stop by JRMC's booth first before they start doing those health checks. Returning to the Expo this year is our Community Spotlight, which features 18 of Jefferson County's charitable organizations. The Community Spotlight is sponsored by the Pine Bluff Convention and Visitors Bureau and Southeast Arkansas College, and will be located in the west concourse before you enter the exhibit hall. Our community is certainly blessed with many caring volunteers and worthwhile organizations. I'm sure you won't be able to miss our live radio remote sponsored by JRMC and Strong Manufacturing. You'll find Billy Coble in the middle of the arena at the Chambers booth. He'll be creating a lot of excitement, playing some great music, and interviewing exhibitors throughout the course of the day. Now I'd like to ask all of the Expo committee members to please stand. To each of you, I'd like to say how much I appreciate you serving on the committee and all of your hard work, bringing in the exhibitors yesterday during move-in, helping throughout the course of the day today to be sure that this expo goes on without a hitch. It's been a pleasure to chair this year's Business Expo, and we hope everyone has a fun and profitable day. And now I'd like to turn it back over to Mr. Dill, who will introduce this morning's speaker.
Thanks, Stephen. Appreciate you. Before I do that, I got to say something about my friend and fellow retiree, going to be, Tommy May. He's retiring at the end of the year, too, in case you didn't know it. Because he had told everybody about mine, I'm telling everybody about his, okay? So he's leaving after, 6 months or a year? How long have you been there? 26 years, I think it is. And so we're riding in the sunset together, I guess you would say. And so I don't know how I'm going to put up with him after I retire. Tommy's dog died not too long ago. It was a favorite dog. I mean, he and that dog were close. They were tight, really tight. So he goes to his preacher down at the First Baptist Church, Jesse, and he asks about funeral services for his dog. And the preacher told him, look, at the First Baptist Church, we just don't do funerals for dogs or any other kind of animal. Said, that's not something we do. Said, why don't you take it down that new church down the road? I understand they do a lot of different things, and maybe they can help you. Tommy said, well, do you think a $15,000 donation to them would be enough? And his minister said, whoa, hold on a minute, time out. He said, let's back up. You didn't tell me your dog was Baptist. I bet you didn't even write him a check after you buried him, did you? Tight as you are. It's a pleasure for me to introduce our guest speaker. As all of you know, George is the CEO-elect of Simmons First National Corporation. For 2013, he will be assuming the role in 2014. George has been with Simmons First, though, for many, many years, serving as a director and as chairman of our audit committee. And he's been on our board, like I say, for, 15 years, I think it's so, somewhere around there. George is also, as you know, a third-generation business owner of one of the most popular franchises in history, Budweiser. And he's been in that business for 40 years. He's got a wife, Debbie, and his children are George III, Nick, and John. He's a member of Trinity Episcopal Church. He has a BA from Rhodes College and an MBA from the University of Arkansas. All of you that know George know he's been very, very involved in the community all the years that he's been back in Pine Bluff. And he's done an excellent job. He's been a great leader and will continue to do that. Some of the things he's been a part of is the chairman of the Economic Development Corporation of Jefferson County, the vice chairman of the Jefferson Hospital Association Board of Directors. He's a director of the National Beer Wholesalers Association. Does that mean we get a price, 10% off or something? Good. He's on the board of visitors of the UAMS College of Medicine. He was on the Anheuser-Busch Wholesaler Advisory Panel. He was chairman of the Pine Bluff Chamber of Commerce, chairman of the Arts Science Center Southeast Arkansas, and he's chairman of the board of trustees, as I said, of the Jefferson Hospital Association. I knew we'd hired a smart man when George, Tommy, and Marty and I were having lunch the other day in the bank's dining room, and some way it got around, the conversation got around to dying. When you die, he said, when you're in the casket and your friends and church members are mourning over you, what would you like for them to say? And Tommy said, well, I'd like them to say I was a wonderful husband, a fine spiritual leader, and a great family man. Marty said, well, I'd like them to say I was a wonderful teacher, servant of the church, who made a huge difference in people's lives. And George says, not me. What I'd like them to say is, look, he's moving. George Macris.
Well, good morning, and the first thing I have to say is, Reverend Turner, I appreciate being included in your prayer, because as many people would tell you, I need all the help I can get. When I was asked to speak this morning, I was really flattered and honored until I figured out I was the only one that fit into the budget. So you will probably get what you paid for. Robert told me the other day, when I asked him what he was going to do when he retired, he said, I think I'm going to play more golf. I said, well, Robert, unless somebody puts lights up on a golf course, I think that's impossible. I see Marjo here, and the other day Robert came home after playing golf, and Marjo asked him why he didn't include Tommy May in his group anymore. And Robert said, well, would you want to play with a guy who regularly cheats, swears outrageously on the course, lies about his score, and throws his clubs? Marjo said, absolutely not. Robert said, well, neither does Tommy.
That's true.
Well, nobody knows what I'm going to talk about today except for me, and I may start off this way and end up over here. So I apologize for that, but I thought today we might visit a little bit about brand development, a little marketing, and since this is a Chamber of Commerce event, I thought that our brand that we would talk about today would be Pine Bluff, because that's the brand of the Chamber of Commerce. Now, I know I probably ought to give some consideration to the greater part of the name, Greater Pine Bluff Chamber of Commerce, but I really don't know what that means, so I'm going to stick with just Pine Bluff. I think it's important for us to sort of have an idea of the stages of brand development before we get started. The first one is awareness. How do people find out about your brand? And how do you explain to them what they can expect out of your brand? A lot of that's word of mouth. A lot of it is image building. A lot of it has to do with your advertising. You have to get the word out about your brand to your potential consumers. The next step is confirmation of those expectations through experience. So you've convinced someone to try your product, and you want to confirm through their experience that what you told them was right and how your product meets their needs. Step 3 is the same as step 2. So what I'm saying is consistency and repetition builds a brand, hopefully in a good way. The fourth step is to create a preference. It's what you identify with. It's your brand of choice, all things being equal. And when you reach the pinnacle of brand development, you create a premium preference. Now that premium may be in the form of a higher price. It may be in the form of inconvenience. For instance, I park an acre away from the front door of Walmart to get access to their variety and pricing. That's the kind of inconvenience that a premium preference defines. It may be a long lead time. You may want a blue chair and you walk into a furniture store and they have a blue chair, but it's not the brand of blue chair you want. So you're willing to wait 6 or 8 weeks for the brand of blue chair that you want. And it may be that you won't accept a substitution. You know, if you drink Bud Light, you just won't accept brand X. And Nick asked me to put that in the speech here, so son, there you go. So, what are some of the characteristics of Pine Bluff that help define our brand? And I've written down a few that came to mind. The first is quality health care. And if you think about this, what we have in this community, especially for a community our size, is unparalleled. Over 70% of the people in Pine Bluff get their treatment locally, and 40% of the customers at JRMC are from outside of Jefferson County. I would say that that is a pretty good indication that consumers believe that the healthcare system in Pine Bluff is excellent. The economic infrastructure. Well, now we can check all the boxes. Our transportation's excellent. We have a port. Luann and I were just talking about how superior our port is to many of those along the Arkansas River. We have access to an interstate system. We have a great rail infrastructure. We have industrial parks that are developed and undeveloped. And now we have sales tax dollars to offer incentives to potential businesses who want to locate in Jefferson County. So we check all the boxes with regard to economic infrastructure. Spiritual access. I think we would all agree that we're awfully lucky to have the network of churches throughout our community that allow us to practice our religious faith. I would say that's excellent. Recreational opportunities. Indoor recreation and fitness. Hospital has 2 wellness centers. Outdoor recreation, hunting, fishing, walking, parks, opportunity to participate on sports teams for the youth, baseball, softball, football, basketball, and individual sports like tennis and golf. All that's available in Pine Bluff, and all of that is very good. Our cost of living. Our wage rate is at the state average or better in some cases. Our housing prices are lower. Our transportation prices are lower. Utility prices are reasonable. Our cost of living in Pine Bluff is excellent. Entertainment. Dining, theater, performing arts, spectator sports, community festivals, social occasions with groups, shopping. What we have is good, but it's not enough. And I think all of us would say that variety is what we're missing in that category. All the items I've mentioned, Pine Bluff rates very high in. So why aren't we growing? Well, there are a couple of categories that need some work, and I'm going to visit about those a little bit. The first is public safety, and the second is the Pine Bluff Public Schools. And I'm specifically mentioning the Pine Bluff Public Schools because that's the district that carries our brand. So as I talk about schools later on, I'm specifically talking about the Pine Bluff schools. With regard to public safety, we need to have the most qualified professionals we can find managing and implementing the most effective crime prevention program we can plan. Now, I'll give you an example. If JRMC required all their health professionals, doctors and nurses, to live in Jefferson County, we would not have the healthcare system that we have today. So ultimately the question is this: do you want the best service, or do you want some artificial restriction that prevents you from offering the best service? I would submit you want the best service, and whatever it takes to get that is what we need. To support the law enforcement officials, we have to have a legal justice system that acts swiftly, decisively, and sends a message loud and clear that this is not fertile ground for criminals. And we need this to be the #1 objective of the elected officials who are charged with safety of our community. And I know that the results in this area is at the top of my list as I evaluate the performance of our elected officials. I know there's a lot of work being done in that area, and I applaud their efforts, and I hope we're very successful shortly in turning around an image that we've developed over several years as a less than desirable place to be with regard to public safety. I don't believe it. All of us live here, we don't believe it, but perception is reality, and we need to understand that. Now I want to talk a little bit about schools. In my opinion, we will never reach our potential in any of the areas that I've mentioned until we meet our expectations for the Pine Bluff schools. I submit that the expectations of the Pine Bluff schools should be to produce a product that is workforce ready. We can debate all day long whether or not the role of the Pine Bluff schools should change based on the needs of its students. But I contend that the role of the Pine Bluff schools must change if they accept that challenge of producing workforce-ready graduates. Now, I know this concept strikes a chord of distaste with many educators. My mom and my sister and my daughter-in-law are all teachers. The apprehension, the what-ifs can run wild because you're only limited by your thought process as to what this really means. And I can tell you I don't have a solution. I've got a lot of ideas. However, we must expose the student to a more structured and diverse learning environment for more time than we do today, because if they don't get it in school, they most likely aren't going to get it anywhere else. The socioeconomic conditions for students in Pine Bluff must be strongly considered as we evaluate the role of schools in their lives. My point's this: my work schedule, like most of yours, generally takes up the entire day, is year-round, allows me adequate time at work to complete my tasks, and affords me access to resources I need to help me understand and complete my work, including peer input. Why shouldn't a student's education offer them the same opportunities and access? A graduate of Pine Bluff High, in order to be certified as workforce ready, must have a defined set of skills. That's the school's brand. What will the customer or an employer expect from the school's product? We tell them that's what we're going to provide, and remember, the next step is verification through experience. So when you hire a student from the Pine Bluff schools and you expect these sets of skills, they need to have them. And of course, academic proficiency is very, very important. And I think our schools can adapt to a reliable measurement system. I don't think we have one today. If the number of students who require remediation in college is any indication, which I also think is a great disservice to the student to have to pay for what they should have gotten in secondary school. But I'll submit that character development is equally, and in many cases even more important than high academic achievement. I want to mention some relevant non-academic criteria that I think schools should include as part of their product development. I want to know about the student's attendance. If that student had perfect attendance, that tells me he persevered through some adverse conditions because he understood the value of that commitment. I want to know about deportment. I remember my report cards from grade school and junior high, they had a full page of behavioral criteria like follows instructions, plays well with others, which sort of makes me wonder what the report card of some of our elected officials look like in that category. I was always more concerned about that section than I was my academic grades because, as Mr. Bush can relate to, his brother was a coach of mine. The coach's favorite day was the day report cards came out because they reinforced anything bad on that report card with their paddle. And I got to partake in that. So I want to know what group activities that student was a part of: sports teams, choir, drama, debate, civic clubs, and I want to know what the peer review said about that student's ability to work as part of a team. We do it in our businesses. When we do reviews, we want to know how that associate works with his other associates. Why can't we do that in school? I want to know if the student was a peer tutor. Now, I played baseball all the way through college, and I really didn't understand the game of baseball until I started teaching it to someone else. I want to know that the student's familiar with health and wellness, personal financial planning, and budgeting. I want to know that the student's registered to vote. I want to know if the student has basic skills with computers and has successfully completed some online training. Just think about your own job today and how much training you do online. I want to know that the student has been taught to speak and has spoken in front of an audience. Now, those are just a few things that I thought of as an employer that I think are extremely important for a student to have when they enter the workforce. And I want the school to produce with the student a resume summarizing his performance in these areas. And I expect the student to be able to address that when he sits down with me to go over his resume. Now, this kind of certification of graduates would be invaluable to the student, in my opinion. It doesn't matter if that student goes immediately to college out of high school, whether they wait a couple of years, earn a little money so that their college debt will be reduced, or, and particularly, if they never go to college. And if you can show me that our public schools can churn out this kind of product that I want to depend on by utilizing their current structure, I'll give you this $1 bill that I won from Tommy May the other day, and you know how hard that is to come by. You know, the Pine Bluff School District has a real opportunity to make changes necessary to make a positive difference for its students. The University of Virginia School Turnaround Program, which happens to be headed, in our particular case, by a former Zebra, William Robinson, is evaluating the district to determine if it's ready for such a substantive change. That will require commitment from leadership both in and outside the district. I'm very proud of this community for its recent actions to hire a new school board. I can assure you that was not done with the intention of maintaining the status quo. Tough decisions will have to be made, but as long as we keep our eye on the prize, and that is a better product of our public schools, we ought to be able to make the right choices. Time is of the essence. We have to move swiftly but thoughtfully. Structure will be an art form, not a science. It'll be flexible, but we have to start somewhere and soon. I'm sure we'll all have an opportunity to support this transformation of the Pine Bluff schools, and I would suggest we cannot find a more meaningful way to help improve the product of Pine Bluff. So, how does our brand of Pine Bluff look? Well, the phrase "so near but yet so far" comes to mind for me. With marked improvement in public safety and public education, we're positioned to significantly improve our brand. That's certainly oversimplified and easier said than done, but I think it's accurate. So what else do we need to remember as we seek to improve our product? Well, the first is accentuate the positive. Give people something good to talk about. Word of mouth is very important as a part of brand development, and we need to take every opportunity to toot our own horn. Second, be aware of the company you keep and the effect on your brand. I must ask myself if I want my company associated with organizations that do not promote a positive image for my brand, and at the same time I want to seek out organizations that do enhance my brand's image. I would suggest that we give a little more consideration to the business relationships we have with our friends in Southeast Arkansas. We have much in common. As we look for variety in dining occasions, specialty shopping, services, festivals, and other entertainment, there are wonderful opportunities throughout Southeast Arkansas. What we each have is very good, but none of us individually have enough. But collectively, we have a lot. We provide this variety to a great extent now for our neighbors to the south, and we need to reciprocate. The long-term benefit of a closer relationship between Pine Bluff and the communities of Southeast Arkansas could be very positive. Third, get actively involved in the local political process. We have chosen our elected officials to manage the public affairs of our city, our schools, our county, and our criminal justice system. How they perform, perform is probably not a good word to use. The results of their actions should determine their fate as our representatives. But remember, the ends don't always justify the means. The process could do more damage to the brand than the result. So, Chamber of Commerce, we've got some work to do. Let's make sure we tell folks about the good things we have to offer, and let's challenge those who unfairly disparage our brand. Let's focus on improving the most important aspects of Pine Bluff that will enhance our product. One thing has not changed about Pine Bluff, and that is when we work together, which we do better than any community I can think of, we do make positive things happen. Our goal is to reach the level of brand development of premium preference. So how can we tell when we get there? Well, when housing prices start up, existing home inventories are so low that new construction takes off. By students transferring into the Pine Bluff district instead of out. When new businesses locate here and their employees live in Pine Bluff. When our unemployment rate falls to at least the state average. When tax revenues increase in the city and county without a tax increase. And then the real telltale sign of premium preference is when you must make your tea time at Harbor Oaks at least 2 weeks in advance. So, a good product, but improvements needed. And I think we can be very focused in our efforts to help improve that brand, and I think Pine Bluff has a great future. I want to congratulate all of the individuals and organizations being recognized here today. Your commitment to excellence in customer service and the long-term commitment of the organizations being recognized certainly enhance the brand of Pine Bluff. Thank you very much. It's been an honor to be a part of this program, and you have a great day.
You know, we do have an opportunity in this community, and it's all up to us to take advantage of it and do our part to help us be what we can be. And George, you gave us a lot of things to think about, and we appreciate you doing that. You know, you talked about Harbor Oaks and golf course, about calling for tea times. You know, George called me the other day, and he said, "Is everything okay at the office?" I said, "Yeah, you know, it's all under control." I said, "It's been a real busy day," so I haven't been able to stop, take a break all day long. He said, "Really?" He said, can you do me a favor? And I said, yeah. What is it? He said, can you pick up the pace a little bit? I'm in the golf cart and a foursome behind you. Robert.
We still have Vicky to come up there.
Oh, yeah, Vicky, you got to come up here. You want to get back up?
Whenever you're finished.
I'm finished. If you want to get up here, I'm real finished, okay?
Thank you, Mr. Mackers, for your speech. Next on our program is time set aside to recognize a special group of people, our customer service stars. These stars have provided exemplary service in the past year, and it has not gone unnoticed. Chamber members have nominated each of these individuals based on the service they have received. A list of honorees is printed in your program on your table. Would each of the customer service stars please stand? Thank you for each of you for your excellent service. And I need to remind chamber members to start looking for next year's honorees. It is also a very special honor to present the Chairman's Club Member of the Year Award. The Chairman's Club has been known as the smiling face of the Chamber for many years, and its members are recognized for their hospitality and dedication to Pine Bluff businesses. Membership in this diverse and select group of goodwill ambassadors is by invitation only. Referred to as the Redcoats because of their proudly worn red blazers, these volunteers are called upon to represent the Chamber before, during, and after normal business hours. We have a special table reserved for the Redcoats today, and some of them have elected to sit with their companies. So will all members of the Chairman's Club please stand? The recipient of the 2013 Chairman's Club Member of the Year Award is no stranger to hard work. Whenever you attend chamber events, you probably saw her there because she attended 74 events in the past year. Our recipient is also a member of the 2010 Leadership Pine Bluff class. On behalf of the Pine Bluff Regional Chamber of Commerce, it is with best wishes of her fellow Chairman's Club members, and it's my pleasure to present the Chairman's Club Member of the Year Award to Kelly Bryant from Evergreen Packaging. Before I call Stephen back to the podium, one person that deserves recognition, that of course has not wanted anything in the program for it today, is one of the persons responsible for putting this together. The first time doing this, and we believe she has done an outstanding job. Callie Walker, would you please stand? As well as the staff that has helped her. We don't need to let them go unnoticed as well. You guys have done a great job this year. Thank you. Stephen?
For more than 100 years, the Chamber has worked with area businesses, organizations to help grow and strengthen our community. Again this year, the Chamber members had the opportunity to honor 3 of our best in the categories of small, large, and nonprofit business of the year. Listed in your program, you'll see our Small Business of the Year nominees were Express Employment Professionals, Fairfield Federal Credit Union, First Arkansas Insurance, Pine Bluff Sand and Gravel, and Sissy's Log Cabin. Please join me in congratulating our nominees. And this year's Small Business of the Year Award goes to Pine Bluff Sand and Gravel. Founded in 1913, for 100 years, Pine Bluff Sand and Gravel has operated right here in Jefferson County. The company manufactures and delivers sand and gravel, ready-mix concrete, and asphalt. In addition, it owns and operates barges and towboats on the Arkansas, Missouri, Mississippi, Red, Washita, Black, and Pearl rivers, and on the Gulf Intercoastal Waterway. Pine Bluff Sand and Gravel and its family of companies have expanded their operations over Arkansas, Louisiana, Texas, Mississippi, and Tennessee, as well as Kentucky. But it all started right here 100 years ago in Jefferson County. Congratulations.
Anytime you're on a list that includes the other 4 nominees, Sissy's Log Cabin, Fairfield Credit Union, Express Temporary, and First Arkansas Insurance, you know you're in good company, and I congratulate all of those who were nominated, and we feel honored to be included. On behalf of the 65 or 70 or so local employees of Pine Bluff Sand and Gravel, and on behalf of the McGeorge family, who's operated this business, as Stephen said, for 99.5 years, we thank you for this honor. We feel real good about our future, and with leadership like my friend George Mackers here taking over in key places, we feel real good about the future of Pine Bluff too. And we thank you all for this honor for us today.
Now for this year's nominees for the large business of the year. Nominees included Evergreen Packaging, Pine Bluff National Bank, and Tyson Foods. So congratulations to our large business nominees. And the Chamber's Large Business of the Year award goes to Pine Bluff National Bank. Pine Bluff National Bank opened its doors in 1965 and today employs more than 120 individuals and has 8 locations throughout Jefferson and Lincoln counties. Over the years of serving individuals and businesses, PB&B has developed into a true community partner and contributor in the communities throughout Southeast Arkansas. PB&B reinvests right back into the local communities by supporting local charities and sponsoring local events. Congratulations.
Thank you, and thank you to Luann, the Chamber, and the Alliance for everything they do. And also thank you to the businesses represented. We all know that it takes more than just being focused on the bottom line to have a positive impact in our community. And you know, any endeavor that we intake as a group, we're successful, and I just encourage us to continue to do that. And most importantly, I'm honored to stand here and represent some wonderful employees that we come to work every day, and I consider most of them friends, and it's a great organization. I thank them for everything they do. Thank you.
Finally, we have the Nonprofit of the Year Award, and this year's nominees were Area Agency on Aging of Southeast Arkansas, Boys and Girls Club of Jefferson County, Hope Women's Resource Center, and Interested Citizens for Voter Registration. So congratulations to all of our nominees. This year's Nonprofit of the Year Award goes to the Boys and Girls Club of Jefferson County. The Boys and Girls Club of Jefferson County has played an integral role in the Pine Bluff community for several years, providing daily programs and services to hundreds of young people. The club serves more than 700 boys and girls annually, providing programs that emphasize character and leadership development, education and career enhancement, health and life skills, arts, sports, fitness, and recreation for our youth so that they are able to reach their fullest potential. Congratulations.
We're very proud to have this award and very proud of all the folks who recognize, but I also want to recognize our area manager, Mr. James Britt, who also leads our Townsend Park unit, And piggybacking off of what George said this morning, we believe we serve an integral part of helping to turn the education in Pine Bluff around. He has led an effort in that area where we have over 60% honor roll for the last, I think, 4 years in a row, where we've turned kids from being 1 or 2 grade levels behind to being all A or honor roll students. And we're also thankful for our new partnership with First Methodist Church. We're able to do that now with some of our Pine Bluff students, and we hope you will come see our booth today where you can help us reach even more students so we can help transform Pine Bluff. Thank you.
And now I'd like to turn it back over to Mr. Dill, who will give us any closing comments and remarks and parting words of wisdom.
I got all 3 of them, okay? Here we go. No, I just want to tell you that it's a great crowd this morning. Chamber, Vicki, Stephen, everybody involved done a great job as always. We're glad to see this turnout. It's a great expo. It's great, super for our community. I want to leave you with this parting thought here. An old cowboy was riding his trusty horse, followed by his faithful dog, along an unfamiliar road. The man was enjoying the scenery when suddenly he remembered dying. And he realized that the dog beside him had been dead for years, as had his horse. Confused, he wondered what was happening, where the trail was leading them. After a while, they came to a high white stone wall that looked like fine marble. At the top of a long hill, it was broken by a tall arch topped by a golden letter H that glowed in the sunlight. Standing before it, he saw a magnificent gate in the arch that looked like a mother of pearl, and the street that led to the gate looked like gold. He rode toward the gate, and as he got closer, he saw a man at the desk to one side. Parched and tired by his journey, he called out, "Excuse me, sir, where are we?" "This is heaven," the man answered. "Wow, would you happen to have some water?" "Of course, sir, come right in, and I'll have some ice water brought right up." As the gate began to open, the cowboy asked, "Can I bring my partners in too, my dog and my horse?" The guy said, "I'm sorry, sir, but we don't accept pets." The cowboy thought for a moment. Then he turned back to the road and continued riding, his dog trotting by his side. After another long ride at the top of another hill, he came to a dirt road leading through a ranch gate that looked as if it had never been closed. As he approached the gate, he saw a man inside, leaning against a tree and reading a book. "Excuse me," he called out to the man, "do you have any water?" "Sure, there's a pump right over here." He said, "Help yourself." And he said, "How about my friends here, my dog and my horse?" He said, "Of course, they look thirsty too. Bring them right on in." The trio went through the gate, and sure enough, there was an old-fashioned hand pump with buckets beside it. The traveler filled a cup and the buckets with wonderfully cool water and took a long drink, as did his horse and dog. When they were full, he walked back to the man who was standing by the tree. "What do you call this place?" the traveler asked. "This is heaven," he answered. "Well, that's confusing," the traveler said. "The man down the road said that was heaven too." "Oh, you mean the place with the glitzy gold street and fake pearly gates?" "That's hell." The man looked at him and said, "Well, doesn't it make you angry that they use your name like that?" "Not at all," the man said. "Actually, we're happy they screen out the folks who would leave their best friends behind." And so, by the way, folks, I want y'all all to know you're welcome at my watering hole anytime, okay? Have a great day.